Before we get into it today, I want to just ask you something that's really just kind of been sitting heavy on my heart. And that is, have you ever looked in the mirror and thought to yourself, I don't even recognize the person I'm looking at anymore? And you find yourself still doing life, you're still showing up, you're holding it all together, right? For everyone around you as well. But underneath all that busy, you feel like a stranger to yourself, and like that light and that flicker and the spark has gone out, and like you're watching your life happen from the outside, but you're not fully in it. And maybe like me, you've even sort of said to yourself, like, I just want to feel like myself again. And then your next thought that comes through your head might sound like, what does that even mean anymore? And because let's just be real, right? Like, when's the last time you slowed down enough to even ask yourself that question? And then, I have found myself in that space lately. And if you're there too, I just want to say this to you. You don't have to reinvent yourself, and you don't need to burn the candle on both ends or burn your life down to find your way back to yourself. You just need to pause and you need to take a breath, right? And so this is time for a moment to reconnect with that version of you that's been buried under all the pressure to just keep going and pretend that your life is still fine. Because we all know it's fine, right? But you've been feeling tired, maybe unsure, or maybe even just numb. And I hope you're going to stay with me today because we're talking about how to start finding your way back in that gentle, intentional way without burning it all down. That's my temptation always, is just burn it all down and start over. You're not feeling like yourself anymore. And some of you know I've been through a hard season in the last couple weeks. I had a couple of trips with friends that was great, birthday celebrations, but honestly, that timing for those trips couldn't have come at a better time because right before all of that, I was in a really heavy season, walking through those final days of my aunt's life and grieving her passing. And it took a lot out of me. And even though I kept showing up and doing what needed to be done, inside I was running on fumes. I was running on empty. But today isn't about my story, it's about yours. And so I know that I'm not the only one who has felt this way. Maybe you've had that moment where you think, I don't even know where I lost her. Like, but I miss me, right? The version of you who felt light, joyful, present, alive, right? And so now you're just getting through, and you're doing what needs to be done, working, helping, showing up, but it's like you're on autopilot and something's really missing. Maybe you can't even name what it is, right? Because it didn't happen all at once. It was those little things. You stopped doing the things that make you feel like you. And then you started pushing through instead of checking in with yourself. And you said, I'm fine, when you really weren't. You've been strong for everyone else. And somewhere in all of that, you stopped asking, what do I need? And maybe now you're not even sure how to even answer that question. So if you have said to yourself, I just want to feel like myself again, but you're not sure what that even looks like anymore, like that's what we're talking about today. Um, Not how to overhaul your life, not how to become a better version of you, right? But how to take those small steps back to you that's been there all along. Okay. And if you want a space to help you walk through that more personally, I created a free workbook. It's in our Facebook group in the files sections. The Facebook group's name is Making Life Beautiful Again. You'll see my face there, but it's not a long and complicated book or a process. It's just a space. It's a space for you to breathe, to reflect, to reconnect with what's been sitting there this whole time, right? So let's go ahead and get a little deeper because we're constantly being told to reinvent ourselves, especially as midlife women, right? If you want to keep up, you've got to level up, glow up, be a better self, right? But what you really need right now is you don't need something new. You don't need to reinvent yourself and be this new person. But what you need is maybe to just remember, okay? The real you, it hasn't gone anywhere. She's just been buried. So you just have to bring her back and remember who she is. So it's buried under all that busy, the responsibilities, maybe grief, a lot of noise and distractions, right? And so now maybe you're starting to think like, yes, I want to feel like me again, but I honestly don't know what that even means anymore. Here's where you're going to start. And these are just a couple of questions that I want you to sit with. There's no pressure. I just want you to have curiosity when you sit with them. And they're in the workbook too. But when was the last time you felt present and not productive? Whew, that one gets me right here because that's how I live my life is through productivity. And then I want you to ask yourself, like, what used to light you up before you were needed by everyone else out there, right? And then when did you last feel connected to your voice, your body, and your thoughts? Okay. So these questions right here, they're not here to help you set goals, right? It's not a project. I want to make that very clear. It's just to help you slow down long enough to hear your voice again, to hear yourself again, find out what your needs are, your desires, your fears, even, right? And this is something I wanted to share with you guys, something that did help me more than I expected it to, but it's face exercise. I started face exercise back in 2017 because I had 11 lines sitting in between my eyebrows, right? And so it was something totally practical that I could do to take care of myself. But over time, I realized it was doing something that I didn't expect. And after months of, living a life of just showing up for everybody else where I was wearing that smile that didn't match how I felt inside, like face exercise gave me a way to reconnect with myself and my emotions and how I was feeling inside. And so it helped me move and feel to be in my own body without judgment, which is crazy. You would think face exercise is all about vanity, but it really isn't. The benefits are great when it comes to face exercise. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm a face exercise coach. You get the glowing skin, fewer wrinkles, reducing the tension. But what really mattered to me in that moment was that emotional shift. That was a big shift that I didn't anticipate. And it helped me feel like me again. And so that's why I am hosting a face exercise workshop coming up Saturday, August 30th at 10 a.m. Central Time. Not because it's a quick fix. I mean, you will see results, but because it sparked something inside of me. And I want you to have that same opportunity and chance to see if it will do the same for you. And so that's what I want to talk about next, because reconnecting with yourself, it all starts with something most of us avoid, and that is stillness. So let's be real with ourselves, right? Most of us don't even have 5 minutes of silence in the day. And so from the moment you wake up, you're moving. And even in those quiet moments, we fill them with background noise, scrolling, podcasts, catching up on messages, right? And so even in our restful time of the day, it's loud. And so again, no shame here because I am totally right there with you. I do the same. But I've learned something the hard way. And when there's no room for silence, we lose our ability to notice, right? To hear ourselves, to hear God, to recognize the beauty around us or within us, right? And so the Bible, it says, seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened. But how can we find something if we're not even looking or knocking on that door for it, right? And how can we seek when we're just constantly being distracted? And so, if beauty feels completely distant, or if joy is quiet in your life right now, and if you're tired of missing out on your own life, this is where you begin, right? You slow down, you pay attention, you hunt and you knock for that beauty again, right? You knock on that door. And so that's why I started doing something that I like to call the 5 minute reset or reconnect even. It's not fancy, but it really works. Okay. And so I'm going to give you a couple options for what this could look like. For me, I like to just sit quiet with God, not to do anything, but just to be with him. And I'll keep my eyes closed and I'll just kind of picture me laying in his arms, right? And thoughts might flood, and it might lead to something more, but it doesn't have to. I just sit with him. Okay. It might look like for you also, speaking a truth, taking it from scripture or an affirmation or a thought pattern that you have picked up from your life coach, right? And so that's important because you can also tap into this place of just seeking by being silent in your mind. And then you can also be silent through your body. I don't know if you've noticed the pattern here. I do it spirit, mind, and body. Okay. So find which one you want to do. But with your body, it might look like stretching or doing some breath work, just moving, right? Even just touching your face and caressing it and going, I'm here, you're beautiful, right? Whatever it is that you need to do, just start reconnecting with yourself in that silence. Listen, right? And you start doing that, and you'll find that the things that were missing start showing up for you again in life. Like you start noticing the sunrise and you start noticing the smells in the air. You start noticing creativity sparking back, right? You feel this sense of belonging and peace. And most importantly, you start feeling like you again. Because, if you want to find beauty again, you've got to make the space to seek it out, right? And so you begin by coming back to yourself little bit by little bit, right? You took away from yourself little bit by little bit. It's the same way. So it's not by fixing anything or even everything or changing it all, but by creating space to listen, to breathe, to pause, to notice what matters to you again, what's making you light up and smile again, right? So here's two simple ways to take the next step. Go grab the free workbook in the Facebook group. It's pinned at the top in the files section, Making Life Beautiful Again Facebook group. And then join me for the face exercise workshop. It's free on Saturday, August 30th, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Because if your face has been holding all of your emotion, or if you've plastered a robotic smile on your face, this is the space for you to learn how to release some of that and get in touch with that authentic self inside, right? And then next week, we're going to dive into something I know has been eating at a lot of us in this season of summer, where comparison, right? Whether it's bodies, marriages, careers, or just those highlight reels on your phone, like comparison is sneaky. So next week, I'm going to go show you how to start breaking free from it before it breaks you down, right? Before it takes any more from you than it already has. So you don't want to miss it. Thanks for spending time with me today. I'll see you inside the Facebook group and hopefully Saturday, August 30th for the workshop.